guarantee it.
All right. And welcome to this week's episode of the Angry Geeks. I am your host, Lewis Perry, once again absent because she's on vacation on Themyscira, that Wonder Woman, Jamie Dolan. But this week, I have the distinct honor to have Rockstar, author, paranormal investigator, the one and only Jason McLeod. You see this cat at every convention, and now I have him here exclusively with me on the Angry Geeks. Jason, thank you so much for being on. Lay it on us. Tell us about Shadow of Ministry. Tell us about Renegade of Light, Dark Siege, and most of all, I cannot wait. I want to get into some of this paranormal stuff with you. I want the scoop. I gotta know, and I want your opinion on a couple stuff too. Tell us what you got going on right now before I start blabbing even more.
Well, blabbing's good. Hey, I'm Jason McLeod. I'm really excited to be on the show, and we talked about this for a while now, and I'm super busy. I've got all kinds of creative irons in the fire, and now they're all like finally coming together at the same time, which is really cool, and including news which I don't think you've heard yet. But
lay it on.
Man, where to begin? But I sing lead vocals in a progressive metal band here in Austin, Texas called Shadow Ministry. Phenomenal musicians. It's clean, clear vocals like Dream Theater, James LaBrie Dream Theater, Fates Warning, Queensryche, Maiden, Dio, those types of bands.
And you're the lead singer, correct?
I am, correct. Yeah, all originals. In fact, our CD just came out. It's called Machinations. And we just released it. We have actual hard copies now, and we also have our six songs up on SoundCloud. If you go to our website, it's called shadowministryband.com. And the goal has been to open up for major national touring acts, which is now we're doing. So we have King's X coming up. We're opening for Virgil Donati. He's actually one of the best drummers in the world. He auditioned for Dream Theater when Portnoy left. And so Texas Hippie Coalition was our first national act we opened up for, providing direct support for. And they're actually based in Dallas, but they're a national touring act. They opened for Judas Priest themselves. So the goal is to open up and for major acts and then jump on parts of their tours with them. But then to get into, now that we have the CD out, now that we have pro video being recorded, we're doing in the next 3 weeks for our song called Night Watcher, which is actually about a prison break orchestrated by the actual prison guards. And it's kind of dark and mysterious, and it's how they place bets on who's going to get taken out and who's going to get taken out by the dogs and who's going to surrender and who's going to make it the furthest. And it's a good song. So we're going to do that. I'm going to play the convict that gets out running for my life. And but what's really fun is I'm a creative individual, obviously, and I write all the lyrics. So I created this whole persona, including this grand entrance, if you will. I don these huge black hooded robes. I have a lit lantern. We have these candelabras like you see behind me. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
yep, I see it.
On stage we have fog geysers and horizontal fog and things. And I play the role of an adept in a pre-Christian Gnostic mystical order, and I am beguiled by these spirits to obtain the forbidden tome of power from the Master's chamber. I mean, classic stuff. But so the first song is about me finding my way down there and getting the book. And I have this this ornate-looking chest on top of this red glittery fabric with a ring of candles around it. And I pop open the chest and I pull out the book at the end of the song because I've obtained it. And the second song, it looks really dark and evil and mysterious and things, but he's just really a seeker of knowledge, or gnosis, meaning firsthand experience of the knowledge that he obtains, not just reading about something. That's what gnosis means. That's what the Gnostics were all about. And interestingly enough, the Gnostics, and this ties right into Renegade of Light, my newest book. The Gnostics, the pre-Christian Gnostics in the first century, used psychoactive potions to expand their consciousness outside of this third-dimensional holographic reality that we find ourselves in. And they were really the first people to describe what was portrayed in the movies, the Matrix movies, which was this all-encompassing, artificial, demented, blind imposter deity who thinks it's God, and actually downloaded a a low frequency, fear-based version of high frequency, love-based Earth, and trapped us all inside it. And that's what they described, literally. So they actually wrote what they saw in what has been uncovered in the Nag Hammadi scriptures. And that's like reading the Dungeons and Dragons, Manual of the Planes, Deities and Demigods version of the Holy Bible. And
Okay.
it's amazing. So if you want to read something absolutely mind-blowing, read the Nag Hammadi scriptures. It's, good, 1,500 pages long, I believe now. But incredible stuff. So that's where I kind of got the idea from. So our second song, called Crucible, which is one of the songs on the CD, is about what happens when he actually obtains the book, and he's calling the brothers of the order around, and he's saying, look what I've found, this is all going to change now. But then he realizes that he made a critical error, because all of these shadowy forces, which are these archons, wanted nothing more than to obtain it for themselves, and they used him, or used me. So he regrets it, and he instantly realizes he has to restore balance. So that's what this whole thing is about. And in the end, it's all about how love is the highest vibration and fear is the lowest. So love will help you raise your vibration outside of this quagmire. So I tear off the robes in this big epic conclusion. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. And we have a great ballad called The Other Side, which is actually a song about a little girl, or the spirit of a little boy who's watching the spirit of his best friend or soulmate, who's still embodied, from the other side, and he's watching over her, protecting her, and so forth, and he wants her to be with him so badly, and it's all about this haunting drama.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a song called Ask, which we did for our Halloween show, Ask, ASP, where we are portraying the Egyptian. It's a song about the Egyptian gods and their rule over that area of the world so long ago, during the age of the ram. And I play Osiris, and I have this huge ornate costume that I had my friend make for me. She's a costume designer, and I worked with her because I wanted to have it look a specific way. And we did this huge epic song, or Halloween show, for Ask. So that'll be our second music video, but that video is up on YouTube as well. If you hit YouTube and you hit Shadow Ministry, you'll see a whole slew of videos. And we have our current guitarist, which is actually our bass player's son, who's the guy that really worked out well, is the current guy, Chris Coyne. The other two guitarists were, they helped us get where we are and everything, and it just didn't work out with them. As often is the case with musicians, there's always issues going on. So our current
podcasters too.
What's that?
Podcasters and television shows too.
Everybody, right? It's all about personalities and visions and what, getting along and checking your egos at the door. And musicians are really egoic guys, but it's like, I'm telling you, to find 5 guys who aren't drug addicts, who aren't drunks, who aren't felons, who have cars, who have show up on time, who can travel, who can take advantage of the tour opportunities that you get, and the list goes on and on and on, who don't have egos, who can write well together, who can perform well together, who are great on stage and in person, is really tough. So it's a blessing to find 5 guys who are really on the ball. And in fact, my bass player, he's the co-founder of the band, as am I. He said, you guys, to the rest of the band, you guys have no idea how lucky we are to have a great singer who's actually a nice guy, and I am a nice guy. So, but
that remains to be seen for the next.
I'm a nice guy. But anyway, yeah, it's called ShadowMinistryBand.com, and we have 6 songs up. We have our compilation video up. We have all of our tour dates and things like that. We're just doing local stuff here in Austin. The goal is next summer to do all the major festivals, hopefully in New England, and I want to get back there. I'm from Connecticut, and I moved down to Austin because it was the live music capital of the world, but so much has changed in the music industry with iTunes going under and people, wanting everything for free and everything. So we really appreciate, we're already selling quite a few CDs, but the CD is actually really good. We had my cover artist who does all my artwork for my books made the cover for the CD, and it's just a great deal. We're really excited about that. And so I actually have shirts now too. The only way you make money with a band anymore is you sell merchandise, shirts and T-shirts, and you get, major festival type of situations. Locally, you don't really do much at all. And, it's all about being creative and providing all that entertainment for people. So I guess basically back when I was a little boy, I'd always been intrigued with consciousness and, who our creator is. And where we came from and what we're doing here. And I always looked up into the stars, you know, and I had this knowing about me that realized that I'm part of this flawless, perfect creation, and I'm here to do something very special. I didn't know what it was when I was a boy, but I'd always been interested in near-death experiences, and I always believed that we are spirit awareness having a human experience. And it was really funny to me that nobody knew where we came from or how we got here or what our purpose was or where we're going when our bodies fail. And I always separated the two. I always said that the body is separate from who I am. I'm just, you know, I'm me, and, you know, the body is separate. So it was very interesting. And I spent hours and hours and hours in the middle school library and the high school library and just studying these things. In fact, one of my teachers said, when the mind catches up with the body, because I was 6 feet tall when I was 11, he said, it's going to be awesome. So, and I remember that quote. I really wish I can contact some of these old teachers that I used to connect with, because they really were special, you know, and they're really great at steering certain people into certain directions and, you know, supportive of those things. So, but when I was a senior in high school, I read The Demonologist by Gerard Biddle. And it was the most terrifying compilation of cases that Ed and Lorraine Warren had investigated. And I knew them because I was in Connecticut in such a small state. Yeah. And they were very famous paranormal investigators. Before any of these shows came online, before it became this giant craze that it is today. So I read the book, and I was actually very frightened for the families involved that were dealing with these things, especially the children. Yeah. And I said, why is this happening to these people and not everybody? And what could be done about it? And I'd love to be able to help somehow. So, but I wasn't that interested at the time in actually getting involved and going and making an effort to go and meet the Warrens and express any interest in working with them whatsoever. I just really put the book back on the shelf. I made a crucifix out of popsicle sticks because I was a little spooked. I swear to God, that's true. My grandmother was Catholic. My dad tried to raise me Protestant. Of course, you know, Nani, my grandmother, she just never ended with her preaching. So it was just something that we always just were exposed to and everything. And, you know, I really aligned myself with the Christianity faith and really all that we're exposed to. So we'll get into that as far as, you know, if you're born in Mecca, what do they think the chances are that you're going to be a Muslim? 100%, right? Yeah. If you're born in the United States, you're most likely going to be a Christian. If you're born in India, you're going to, you know, it's very interesting. So depending on where we incarnate really dictates on about what the spirituality we're going to be exposed to unless we travel. So, but I never really, I said, I can go. My dad tried to grab me by the ear and drag me off to church here and there. And I said, that means just the same to the Creator, to God. If I go sit on a hilltop next to a tree and marvel about the creation and you know, talk to God in my own way versus being dragged into a building. We get into the whole religious thing, but it just didn't really jive for me. I knew always that I was always part of my Creator's creation, that I was always connected to Him, but not a Him, but it was a Creator. I really didn't buy into the whole gray-haired man on the throne and sitting in the clouds. It was just silly to me. Yeah. Because why would God age? Why would He have gray hair? You know, things like that. It just never made any sense. But so in 1990, I was sitting with my friend Lou in his car, and he was a muscular former Army combat medic, current paramedic, and we're listening to the radio, and it was a story about the 3 Men and a Baby editing incident where they saw, as the camera was panning left, they saw a shadowy form of a teenage boy hiding behind a curtain. Correct. They're like, what the hell was that? You know, and then when they went back during another scene, they not only saw the shadowy form of the boy, but he was also now holding a large hunting rifle. Grainy, spooky image. And so they called the Warrens in, and Lorraine discerned that that was a teenage boy who committed suicide with a high-powered hunting rifle on property, because there was no prop there was no teenage boy anywhere to be found. But so that's what they figured out what happened, and they researched it, and that's exactly what happened. So I turned to Lou. I said, that'd be so cool to work with them, you know? And he said, yeah, no kidding, you know? The next evening, he goes, he calls me up, and he goes, you aren't going to believe who just called me. And I asked who, you know, he said, Ed Warren. I was like, what? You know, come on. So Ed was having heart problems, and he wanted a medic on their team, so he called the chief EMS in Norwalk to recommend a medic, and he
I grew up
Lou.
in Norwalk.
All right.
Yeah.
So Lou was a paramedic who had combat experience, and a lot of these cases are really hairy, scary situations.
Yeah.
So he called Lou and invited him to their Monday night class at their home in Monroe. And I said, you have to get me in there. It's time, right? It wasn't time in 96, but it was time in 1990. So he got to go to the meeting, and he talked to Lorraine about this whole chain of synchronistic events, and she knows all about synchronicity, as do I now. And she invited me to go to the next meeting. So I got to go the next Monday night, and we walked around the back and walked in the door, and I met a man who's still my friend today, and Drew, and everybody called him Andy. Lorraine always called him Andy. He still doesn't understand why she ever called him Andy, but his name is Drew. But he's an incredible psychic in his own right. But I met him, and I see Lorraine in the distance smiling at me with this big, bright smile, like she always smiles. And she's, hi, honey, I'm Lorraine Warren. How strong is your faith, honey? Was the first question she asked me, right? I said, well, I have immense faith. I believe that I and the Father are one. And she smiled, and she says, why do you want to get involved in work of this nature? It was always of this nature. And I said, well, I read The Demonologist. I was really concerned for the families involved. I would like, to help them in any way and learn more. So it's a calling then, she asked me. And I said, well, yes, I think it is. And she said, well, welcome aboard. Well, they sent Lou on. What happens with the case, the evening is that we all sit, in a grouping of chairs in front of Ed or Lorraine, standing up before a lectern and a screen and an old movie projector. And keep in mind, this is 1990. Tape recorders and things, and they would discuss the certain cases that are going on that are currently under investigation at the time, and they would replay video tapes or audio tapes based upon what the investigators filmed or recorded, and then they would go over new cases that came to their attention. So they were talking about a new case in Devon, Connecticut, and it was a newlywed couple, and they had a baby, and they were in a house that they bought, an old house, and it was a 2-story. And every evening, according to the couple, a apparition of a woman would walk through their wall in their bedroom, walk down the hallway, stop in front of the crib, in front of the baby, and scare the baby out of its wits, walk through the crib, and disappear every night. So they assigned Lou and I. This is only his second class. This is my first class. And they assigned Lou and I alone to go the very next evening to investigate the case on the Warrens' behalf. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I'm going to do this myself. So I said, okay. So I borrowed Mom's camcorder, like the old VHS camcorders and a tripod.
Yep.
And Lou and I went to the house, and we set the camera up in the master bedroom, aimed at the wall where they said she comes through every night. I drew all the blinds. I lit some candles so we have a little bit of light. And Lou and I and the husband and wife waited down the hallway, peering down the hallway from the kids' room, waiting to see this apparition come down the hallway. And we're waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden, like a bright blue flash of light, like lightning happened. Like it was like, and we heard a crack, right? Like, right? It was this huge flash of blue light. We all looked at each other with our jaws hanging open. Did you see that? We all saw it. So then we're waiting. I'm like, oh my God, it was going to be so bright that we wouldn't even know where it came from because it was so bright in there, right? Or whatever. I said, we're going to get the greatest footage ever on our first night on our first cave. And we're waiting and waiting, and nobody comes down the hallway. So we decided we'd go into the bedroom, which we did, and we smelled a sickly sweet almond smell. And we didn't know what that was. We later probably heard the woman's perfume or whatever scent that she projected for us to smell. And then we decided to go back into the baby's room and wait again. And then exactly 30 minutes later, another bright blue flash of light, but it was half as intense. And when we walked into the bedroom again, the smell was half as intense. And then nothing for the rest of the evening. So we decided we want to put the VHS tape into the machine so we can all watch and see what we captured together. And we're waiting, and I'm fast forwarding it. You know when you have play and fast forward it at the same time, and it's going fast. We're seeing the candles flickering really fast. We're waiting to see this big poof, you know, and nothing. And when we stopped it, my voice comes on a few seconds later. Says, we've just experienced the second flash of light, because I was narrating, and nothing.
Wow.
At all. And then Lou says, do you hear that? Right? Like, what? That's a diarthritic heartbeat. And he hears a distinct, clear heartbeat coming from the TV where it's coming through. And then another couple of seconds, that's an arthritic heartbeat. There's 3 different heartbeats that he identified. And I think I'm using those names correctly, but I've never verified. 3 distinct heartbeats, because Lou is a paramedic. He's trained to listen for the faintest heartbeats.
Yeah.
And he picked those up. And he went white as a ghost, unintended. I didn't know what to make of that, right? So when we went to I dropped the cassette off at the Warrens' house the next day so that they could review everything and get ready for the next class on Monday. So the next Monday, we all discussed it, and Lorraine basically said there definitely was a woman here. The spirit of the woman was there. She wasn't going to give us what we wanted, which was evidence on tape, but she gave us all evidence that she was there through the flash of light. So how did that happen? Drum roll. You know?
No.
Okay.
I'm enthralled by this. No.
So here's how it happens, right? It didn't happen with our physical eyes, yet we all saw it. So our pineal gland, which is a pine cone shaped grain of rice or pea-sized pine cone shaped photosensitive organ, right? It has rods and cones, just like our regular eyes do. It's been called the seat of the soul and the third eye throughout all these different, mystical traditions.
Third eye, okay.
It's how we have our full color dreams when we're in a pitch black room with our eyes closed at night. All right, it's our interdimensional antenna, if you will. Okay. So she blasted that blue flash of light into our pineal glands, which we all saw clearly. So that's where she broadcasted that light to us. Okay. And the same thing with the smell. All right, there was never any woman in there with an almond perfume.
No, it's just what you
never anybody standing next to the camcorder with a beating heart, nor was the camcorder sensitive enough to pick up a heartbeat, even if somebody was standing there. So it was all about projecting all of these things, which they can do very easily, onto electromagnetic medium like cassette tape, right? And that's how these things work. So a lot of the things that happen in these cases where one person sees a ghost or a whole group of people see a UFO, or one guy sees a dark black form on the stairs and the other people do not. A lot of it is just projection into our minds. Ed Warren, my mentor, and I'm blessed. I'm so blessed and I'm so fortunate, and I say this every time I ever do an interview, to have been able to not only meet these astounding people who've dedicated their lives to helping other people with these situations, but to actually work with them and work for them and work alongside them is a rare privilege. And it's something that I'll always talk about, and I'll say, these are the pioneers, at least the American pioneers of the modern ghost investigation craze. And none of these shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and any of the ones that have followed, or any of these paranormal conventions, none of this stuff would exist if it weren't for the Warrens.
And we're back with Jason McLeod. What's Renegade of Light?
All right. Renegade of Light, it's the perfect timing for me professionally as an investigator and a researcher into these esoteric truths. And with the fact that so many people are talking about these types of situations. So I followed David Icke for decades now. He was laughed off stage decades ago because of the information that he brought out. but now he fills entire convention center arenas for $100 a ticket. All right, because everything he talked about is all being brought up. And Dark Renegade in White is a screenplay written by Dennis E. Higgins. He's actually a friend of mine who came to this. I'm part of an Austin, Texas Circle of Intention group. It's a meditation group, and it's full of incredible people, just like myself. You know what I mean? We're all, not that I'm an incredible person, but we're all just, they're just.
No. Let me stop you right there. You are incredible. Sitting here
thanks.
listening to you, in my opinion, you are Angrygeeks approved to the max, man. You
all right.
are.
Can I get a logo? I'll put it somewhere.
Yeah, I will put the logo up there for sure, because you. This is. I'm sitting here quiet, listening to you, because I'm just in awe, and time restraints is what's killing me. And with that, I am Louis Perry for the absent Jamie Dolan. I want to thank Jason McLeod for being on, the true superhero, Rockstar, author, paranormal investigator, and empath. Dude, you are amazing. Definitely Angrygeeks approved. Tune in next week right here on the Earplug Podcast Network and your local public access television show to watch us. Remember, you guys have all the nice toys, but we got a Wonder Woman. See ya.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation, found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.